Reclaimed is the podcast about the woman's journey of reclaiming her power through somatic work, breath work, plant medicine, and conversations. I am Kyla Gagnon, and this is Reclaimed. Hello, sweet friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I have with me Audrey Rose today. Audrey is the inspiring founder of Hello, Audrey Rose. And this is a movement dedicated to empowering women to rediscover themselves and create a life that they are truly obsessed with the mission to help women break through societal expectations and uncover the layers of limiting beliefs that they've built up. Audrey's work is all about guiding women to reconnect with their authentic selves and live a life that feels genuinely theirs. Not only is she a published author, but she's also the host of a global top 1.5% podcast. Insert goals. Her podcast is called Ready to Rise, a self-love virtual community leader, retreat host, and sound bath healer. Audrey does it all. Drawing from her own journey and extensive study of various healing practices, Audrey offers a unique approach through her Rise Sisterhood virtual community, transformative retreats, and practical daily tools. She's here to save you time and money by providing a comprehensive resource for personal growth and wellness, ensuring that every woman feels seen, heard, and motivated to embrace her truest self. Audrey's signature events, including the Rise Retreat and the Rise Women's Virtual Conference, reflect her commitment to transformation. They're designed to help women rediscover their power, ignite their motivation, and take actionable steps towards a more fulfilling life. Join Audrey Rose and her vibrant community to break through societal barriers, shed layers of limiting beliefs, to rediscover your true self, and live a life that you're obsessed with. First and foremost, please sit back and enjoy my conversation with the sweet Audrey Rose. Hello, Audrey. Is it Audrey or Audrey Rose?
I mean, either way, yeah.
Okay.
Cool, yeah.
Okay. Audrey Rose. Audrey, you know what? Audrey Rose. That is, it's like, it's classy.
Yeah.
I think of Audrey Hepburn just because you would never say Audrey without saying Audrey Hepburn. So yeah. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for like 3 months. So
yeah, we've had it in the books for a while. Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. And let's just, we'll dive into the nitty gritty juicy question right off the hop, because I feel like that generally then like spirals us into conversation. But Audrey, my love, what are you currently reclaiming?
My power. I'm in this season. It is time. Just in so many areas of my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just bringing my power back.
Beautiful. Where, like, if you think right now, what was the first area of your life that you feel like it's coming back or that you're reaching for?
Yeah. So really the first part. So as a business owner, it's been something that I'm a nice person, and I love to just like, whatever works for you. Okay. But now I'm just getting in this season where it's like, I also have to, sit in my worth and sit in my needs and what I need for myself and for my business, for my life, and just taking that power back of not letting people walk all over me. I think that's where it is. I've been, I just, it's so awkward to be like, I'm like, call yourself like a nice person, right? But like,
No.
I've just gone through so much of my life has been filled with people pleasing and with being nice to everybody. And even with family, my, my morals are just so much like blood is thicker than water. We have to be so, nice to our family members and bend over backwards for people. And I'm starting to learn that we cannot do that all the time in all these different areas and all these relationships. It's time to really reclaim my power and and just own that and own my needs and not bend over for everyone else.
Good for you. Yes. Cheers to that. I'm curious, do you have siblings? Are you an only child? Are you the oldest? Where are you and what's the family?
Yeah. So I love this. I'm feeling called to talk about family right now, actually.
Okay, good.
So I am one of 3. So I have a younger brother and then a younger sister. And my family, we are like the regular stereotypical, my parents are still together, like all the things. Super cute. My mom's a preschool teacher, just like adorable. Yeah. Love it. But the family that, raised her, It is so much, just super toxic, an
Mhm.
alcoholic parent who just never really treated my mom with the full respect that she, deserved, or really helped her to kind of bring her life to that next level, just very distanced. And
Mhm.
I'm actually like, as you ask me, like, what's my power coming back? It's so funny because my first gut instinct it's now like blossoming into like this whole thing, um,
Mhm.
of just taking it back. And I think just generational stuff, that's going on, right? Um, and just learning
Yeah.
how to work through that, and how to be kind of like my mom, I believe, is like the cycle breaker, but then it's up to
Mhm.
this next generation of us to kind of heal it
Yeah.
and really move forward.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's so important. And so I wonder too, so when you think back about your mom, because I'll speak for myself, one of my big pieces of reclaiming my power has been reclaiming my voice.
Ooh,
And that came, long story, but that came to me in a breathwork journey. And it was this realization of how disconnected I was from my voice, which spiraled me into looking at all of the women in my life who are also super disconnected from their voice. And so my like, yeah, I'm gonna like, step into this power turn to like anger and rage because
mhm.
acknowledging how, how many people and generations took that from my family, took it from the women. And so I'm curious if, your mom raised with a parent who was totally not respecting her and probably not respecting themselves either. There's alcoholism.
Right.
Did you see your mom bend over backwards for everyone? Was your mom the people pleaser? Is she playing that role as well?
Yeah, and when I was younger, it was always like, "Oh, it's so cute, like, my mom's, like, the best person ever," and now as I'm older and, in my own healing path, I'm starting to see how much of her life has been spent for others, and now
Mhm.
I've actually just that's been really on my mind lately, of encouraging her to be like,
Mhm.
"You are you're in your late 50s, like, let's, like, it's you gotta live life for you, like, this is
Mhm.
your life."
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's been a lot lately.
She'll learn this is this, and I know that you know this, but when you speak about this generation being the
Mhm.
healing component of this whole cycle, she will learn from watching you,
Yeah.
right? The roles are reversed. We learn from watching our parents, and now they get to learn from watching us. And not all of them will, take it and embody it, but some will. And so if your mom gets to witness you standing in your power and having boundaries and self honor and self respect, I can only imagine what that might offer her as well.
It's so interesting that you just said that, because I've been noticing, so there was kind of a transition period where we didn't get along super well, my mom and I,
Mhm.
and it was when I was stepping out of my shell. And
Uh,
I had to do a lot of work around that to kind of at first I was just like, why aren't we bonding? Why aren't we, what changed? And then somebody, showed a light on that area, and just
mhm,
how it's because you are changing, you're breaking
mhm,
this mold, and it's
mhm,
uncomfortable for her. It's not her way of doing things. She
mhm.
knows a completely different way, and she's not comfortable with that. It's not the way that we're supposed to do things. Um, and now fast forward about 5 years, it's
Mhm.
so awesome because now she sees me in that light. She sees
Yeah.
me as that self that I'm becoming, and she's more accepting.
Mhm.
It feels so good. Our relationship is so much better.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, it definitely, like that demographic. Your parents sound like they're a little bit younger than my parents, but it can take a a lot of elbow grease to like crack them open into this new way of being. And I actually don't know if I'll ever get through my dad, but I'll keep trying. So I am so pleased for you and for your mom that she's come to that
Yeah.
and that you offered her that time to get there.
This is like, by the way, I'm just like mind blown right now. I feel like I just had a whole healing session with you right off the bat of like clicking record. This is
It's been
amazing.
7 minutes and 45 seconds.
Just shed a whole layer of like something.
This is so beautiful. Yeah, this is so beautiful. I love that. Um, before I like jump to the next thing, let's give space. Is there anything more there? What
Well,
else is coming through?
like this is crazy. So I'm feeling so called to share with this in case somebody,
Hmm.
listening is maybe going through but just to chat a little bit more about how it's okay to take a step back. I'm feeling just so called to make sure that people know that
Hmm.
because it's something that I'm learning for myself. And like I said, I always grew up just knowing that like you have to be there for your family at all times and you have to do this and all of these things and it has to come first. But I'm starting to realize that even though it's like we think that inside, but if people have treated us poorly or if people have really like hurt us, it's okay to take space and it's
Hmm.
okay to take a big step back.
Yeah.
And I am like, as much as I know that and I've learned that, it's still hard to
Hmm.
apply it, into your own life sometimes. And
Hmm.
so my grandmother, she is like she's 85, 86. Um and now she's starting to decline. Her husband just passed.
Hmm.
All these things are happening just like they do towards the end of life.
Hmm.
And I'm struggling with that feeling of I have to distance myself. It's um it's been super hard. So when my grandpa passed back in December, I am a nurse by day, so I knew like all the things and I was like I am the one who let me get the ball rolling, let me kind of make sure that, I'll just be like the family liaison or whatever, right? And
Hmm.
kind of figure these things out. And it was not accepted. It was her
Oh.
not accepting what was going on and being kind of in this denial phase, with what was happening with him. But there was, oh, it was insane the way that they treated me. I can't even explain. It was so bad. Just kind of trying to make me feel bad, like as if I didn't know what was going on or as if I didn't
Hmm.
know what, I was doing or, um, and now, like and now, as I kind of look back on all of that and the feelings that that brought up, I realized that just that wasn't okay.
Hmm.
It wasn't okay, and, um, my goodness, and the way that it changed just the bond, that I had and the way it changed his end of life,
Hmm.
um, just because, of her feelings and the way that she acted, and so anyways, fast forward to now, it's like almost a year later, and I'm still having such a hard time, being around her, talking with
Hmm.
her. I just can't, and, just distancing myself so much, which then internally it brings me a lot of guilt because then I feel so bad. I shouldn't
Hmm.
do that. She's my grandma. She could be close to her end, as well. And so, um, but yeah, anyways, just knowing that like it is okay. I mean, because the alternate is for me to, surround myself with people that hurt me deeply and that make me feel so bad about myself and don't truly, respect and acknowledge my gifts. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
I can't put myself in that position.
No. Uh, Thank you for sharing that.
So
One.
much.
Two, I'm sorry that that was how you were treated
Yeah.
ever, but like really particularly in that time. And I just want to really second what you're saying. And there's that saying that we choose our family, and that is true. And there can be this like I want to use the word forgiveness, and I don't want to use it in a way that it might trigger someone actually. But I think one of the most powerful things that we can do is to come to a place where there is forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean what you did is okay. Forgiveness doesn't mean I would like you to be in my life still. Forgiveness is acknowledging that the person that hurt you didn't have the tools. The person that hurt you is ignorant to something. The person that hurt you might be an incredibly low emotional intelligence and capacity and doesn't know how to be with their big feelings. Right. So there's just can there be the forgiveness for their lack of knowing and still honoring that it's not okay and I don't get to be treated that way, and I might not even open the doors for there to be closeness here, but I can forgive you for how that was. I think a lot of people think forgiveness is like, okay, I forgive you, let's carry on as usual, and that's not what that is. Forgiveness is like cutting that tie and releasing the weight that we carry, with that whatever that situation is, and it's honoring that they didn't know. They didn't have the tools. And when we're looking at that generation, even our parents' generation, but definitely our grandparents' generation, if we want to talk emotional intelligence and bandwidth and capacity, it's generally quite low. And I'm not saying they're not intelligent, that's different, but their ability to be with big emotions and to communicate through them, they were never taught that. And so when there's let's say there's a scale of 1 to 10, and we think that maybe this person is like a 2 or a 3 on the emotional intelligence scale, and there's a death or a big family trauma, and it's like a scale like 9, 10 on the trauma and the pain, and we're expecting a level 2 or 3 to be able to meet, it's like they can't. And so our power comes in releasing that, which sounds exactly like what you're doing, just like, no, this is not okay for me, and I'm going to continue on. And obviously there's love. Of course there's love,
Mm.
but you really don't have to let people in who aren't honoring
Yeah.
you.
And it's such a hard, thing to face when you just feel like you have to, or you feel like, oh, this has
Mm-hmm.
been my pattern, is this level of people pleasing. And it's been easier to shut that off with people who are not family. Every
Mm-hmm.
other relationship, the people
Mm-hmm.
pleasing is come to such a minimum. But then when it's your family, it's like, oh, I feel so guilty. But there comes a time when I think sometimes it's very important to step back and
Mm-hmm.
it's just because there's nothing I can do. And that's been the realization I've had, is all the tools I've learned and all the things I've done, I can't teach her any of this if she's not accepting. And
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do to really walk her through more than I've already done, to try to kind of bring her to this understanding, or help her, kind of change her ways. It's not going to happen. She's not willing, and
Well, yeah.
yeah. So it's at this crossroads where it's like, okay, I just have to protect my peace, and that's the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Protect your peace and her love.
Yeah.
We can lead a horse to water, so they say.
Exactly.
It's so true. It's so true.
Oh,
It's so true.
I love that.
Mm.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for letting me chat about that, because
Oh, yeah.
this is the first time I've unpacked that whole thing, to be
Mm.
honest. I mean, and it's so funny too, because as like as a healer yourself, or as somebody who coaches others, through tons of different situations, when you go through it yourself, it's like you have to start from the beginning again of,
Mm-hmm.
everything you've learned, and just apply it back, and just remember everything for yourself again. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's been an interesting journey through this situation, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, we grow through everything. So
Me too.
growth.
And to speak to that, I feel like that's also a really good reminder for anyone listening who isn't in the work of supporting people, healing,
Mhm.
coaching, whatever, just people who aren't in those worlds. Please don't fool yourself and think that those of us who are in that world, like, have it all together, don't go through grief, don't go through doubt, don't go through all of the things. We
Mhm.
do. And it's the reason, I'll speak for myself, it's the reason I do the work, is because I've had such powerful support with it, and will for the rest of my life use those tools. And yeah, it challenges you to be like, am I actually embodying this work? Am I in this work? Do I trust this? Do I trust myself? Do I believe in this?
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. So you have founded, correct me if I'm wrong, the Hello Audrey Rose, like, company. What is
Oh,
this? Tell
yeah.
tell me about it.
Yeah, so Hello Audrey Rose is like basically like a global movement of like teaching women to learn to love themselves, but specifically through shedding those limiting beliefs that we
Mm.
learned from the societal expectations and all of that stuff. And then moving on to rediscovering ourselves and who we really are. Because I think, so many of us, I think it's a lot of like the way that social media, technology, all of that has brought about the societal expectations and the secret societal standards, the way that we see that more often in this
Mhm.
generation, it was just growing up plastered everywhere. And
Mhm.
I've actually seen a lot of that about on Instagram lately. It just keeps popping up in like my reels and stuff.
Yeah.
Keep seeing these like flashbacks from like the late 90s of how certain celebs were treated on TV. Like literally these women who were like a size 2 were pointed out, as you are too overweight. And so I've been noticing that lately. It's kind of coming back, a lot of things from childhood and how we just grew up with these like subconscious kind of messages,
Mhm.
um, programmed within us that we had to look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way in order to be accepted. And
Mhm.
I'm just so sick of it. Like, and, by no means am I saying go the complete opposite and like just don't care about yourself, but it's okay to be yourself is the message.
Mhm.
Just knowing
Mhm.
that like you're worthy as you are. You don't have to be a certain height, hair color, whatever, drive a certain car.
Mhm.
And I mean the cookie cutter is so boring.
It's so boring.
It's like I was talking about this the other day. I'm like, I'm actually a Kim Kardashian fan, like, but so no shade to those of you, but like the thing is like it's okay to admire somebody and admire the way that they look or the way that maybe they, just do certain things in their life, but we don't have to become them. And I'm just so sick of
Mhm.
the trend of like everybody trying to look like Kim K, right? Because it's like she's beautiful, I think, but like I don't wanna look like her. Like, I
Mhm.
don't. I don't need the whole thing because I wanna be myself, and I wanna be accepted for being myself. And I
Mhm.
think it's just like, as women, we are so tired of trying to keep up all of the things to be somebody that we're not. And
Yeah.
we're, spending time, money, energy on these appearances and even a fake belief system and even just going so far as, like, not knowing who we are anymore,
Mhm.
and it's uncomfortable, and at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it's creating just exhaustion in our lives, and so, why are we doing this? And so that's just
Mhm.
kind of like what I've been exploring lately in my podcast, and, when I host retreats, it's so much about we do a little bit of the limiting belief shedding that I was talking about, but then
Mhm.
it's a lot of moving into that discovery phase too of who are we? If,
Mhm.
if I peel back the layers of, whatever I've done to make myself look like someone else, who am I
Mhm.
truly at my core? Like, what is your
Mhm.
favorite color? Like, what car do you actually want to drive? Like,
Mhm.
and so it stemmed for me. In 2019, I had a huge like breakup. We were engaged to be engaged. I had found the ring
Mhm.
and I just remember my heart sank. I was like, whew, it just all of a sudden, somehow I just knew that
Yeah.
everything in this relationship, everything that we were headed towards wasn't me. And I think I was just doing it to check off those societal boxes, the checklist of,
Mhm.
we have to drive this car. I had to have this career, the white picket fence, be married to this specific looking guy. And I saw that ring and I just like woke up and I was like, this isn't you. Like, this isn't
Mhm.
going to make you feel good. So I like totally broke up with him, like left, did all the things. I like I moved out. I moved like back home, but kind of towards like the ocean and just literally just changed my whole life. I became like just one of those people reading all the, self-help books out by the beach and like trying all the healing modalities and trying to just find myself. And
Mhm.
it was such a huge journey, but truly it made me, so happy and like kind of learning who I really am.
Mhm.
And so now I'm just like, I just wish that for every single woman.
Yeah. Wow. So your journey started in 2019.
Yeah.
That part of the
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, yeah, that's when this chapter of my life also started in
Oh, I
2019.
love
Uh-huh.
that.
If I think about it, yeah, it was 2019
Wow.
when you were talking about everyone trying to, be the same and
Yeah.
look the same. This visual came into my mind. I think I'm hungry. But it's like, do you really want to be, like in a world of like oatmeal raisin cookies, and I like oatmeal raisin cookies, but in a world of oatmeal raisin cookies, like, don't we need some deep, rich, chocolatey, fudgy brownies
Right.
with like marshmallow in them, maybe a peanut butter, like, and if we think about too, and I think about this every time I'm in the forest, I actually really love this. I love remembering this when anytime I'm in the forest and I look around and all the trees are beautiful. Like I love all the trees, but most of them all look pretty much the same. They're these big, tall things, and some of them really thick and some of them thin, but they're all like these straight up and down things. And I acknowledge them. And then there's like the gnarly tree that has like big knots and it's kind of curved and it's wild. And that's the one that I always stop and I'm like, oh my God, look at that tree.
Yeah.
And it's the one I remember. And it's the one people will write stories about and magical like fairy tales about.
I love it.
It's not, and we're not different than that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not different than that. And the world really, I mean, we've said this 1,000 times too, but what the world needs is not another Kim Kardashian. The world really needs another Audrey Rose, another Kylie Gayon. Like this is what it needs. And we get to decide who that is and what she or he looks like and how they be. And yeah, so it's kind of like our greatest creation in this
And it
life.
gets to feel exactly like it gets to feel like that good. Like literally everything, like you just like lit up so much saying that. And I just like, I want everybody to hear like how your voice just, impacted all of us. Like just that message, because it gets to feel that good. It gets to feel like so exciting and light you up and be so happy and feel magical. And that's like, like discovering ourselves and living as our truest self. That's like how good that gets to feel.
Yeah.
And I know like so many of us, like we think that if we become that cookie cutter version or, whatever we see on TV, we think that just all the work that it takes to get there is going to light us up and make us excited. But when you reach that standard, you feel drained and you feel horrible and you don't even know who you really are. And so, it's the total opposite.
Because you're totally disconnected from yourself. Of
Yeah.
course you're exhausted. There's no life force. Of course you're exhausted and you feel unsatisfied. You're so disconnected from yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just like if there's like the first thing that you could do, or if there's like the, like if you are noticing that you feel super disconnected, or if you look in the mirror and you just don't even know who you are anymore, just like take a breath, take a couple of minutes, just kind of start, on that journey of rediscovery of, questioning like your actions and question what you're doing. And am I truly doing this for me? Am I going, like, for example, it's my girlfriends and I have been talking about Botox so much lately, and like, no shade. Like, it's exactly that. It's like, no shade. If you want to go get Botox, if you want to go get your, like get some makeup tattooed on your face or like whatever you want to do, no shade on that. But you need to make sure, like, am I doing this to look like somebody I saw on TV or so that I can fit into a certain community? Or am I doing this because it feels good for me? And just asking yourself those questions, I would like highly recommend we pause for a minute and just let that sink in. Think about that.
Yeah. And I think even with that, like clothing, I'm thinking of, are you following the trend because that's what everyone's wearing? Or do you actually like that shirt? Do you like that style of jean? Do you like the barrel jean? Or do you think it makes you look like a cowboy? And like sizing, my God, if your body changes, which it will, and your size changes, which it will, why not buy the new size so that it fits your body so that you feel amazing rather than either A, not shopping and making yourself feel beautiful because you don't like the size, or buying your old size and having it not fit and then you feel like shit about yourself again.
Yes.
Just like what feels good. And that's the thing. That's the question. So many people don't know what even feels good in their body because they've never stopped to ask or to check.
Yep, exactly. And we're just kind of doing what we have learned to do over the years, which is just to stay in this mold. Don't break the mold, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. It
I,
was meant to be broken. It's meant for you to be you. Because exactly what you said, if you're walking through the forest and all the trees look the same, like, where's the beauty in that? Like, it's not as beautiful as
mm-hmm.
all of the different, what people call imperfections, but really it's just different. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
learn how to be yourself. Come home to yourself.
I love that. I say that in breathwork a lot. Coming home to yourself.
Love it.
Okay, so I'm curious about self-love. We've spoken about it a little bit, and I know that it's a huge part of your work.
Yes.
In as simple or as um, in depth, what does that mean to you? Like, what the heck does that even mean to you?
Self-love, I've been trying to pin this down because self-love is such a vast concept. I mean, it's so
Mm-hmm.
many things. But for me, it truly is allowing yourself to accept yourself and to come home, basically come home to yourself. And I think so if you think about like the stage of rediscovering ourselves again and coming back, shedding those societal layers, the limiting beliefs, kind of shedding back some of that, and then moving forward again into a rediscovery phase of who you really are, what lights you up, what makes you happy. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that is like the biggest form of self-love, is then honoring that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of learning who you are, learning that self-discovery, but honoring it and accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that so often just everything that we've learned over the years, the programming that we have is to not accept ourselves. And that's due to like the beauty industry and all these, billion-dollar industries that don't want us to love ourselves so that we buy their products. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just so heavy and programmed in our brains. But
Mm-hmm.
learning how to just accept yourself. I mean, there are days like I preach, one of my like signature practices is mirror work. And so I'm
Uh-huh.
always teaching women, I'm like, okay, look in the mirror and we're gonna like keep the eye contact and repeat after me. And like, but there are days like that is something I teach, right? There's still days I look in the mirror and I freaking like do not like what I see. And I absolutely am like, you need to work out for 5 hours today and like no eating and broccoli only and all this stuff, right? And then you take that step back and you're like, hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This body has gotten me through 34 years of my life. This body
Mm-hmm.
has, hiked up mountains. This body has done so many beautiful things. And it's like, wait a minute, like these hips, they might be a little wider than I want them to be right now, but these hips are gonna like birth a child one day. These breasts
Mm-hmm.
might be a little saggy, but like it's okay. And just truly just looking and just being like, I accept myself for who I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even so far as like things that we consider flaws in our character or just things like that, where when you have a difference of opinion with different people, there are so many times that I kind of used to beat myself up and be like, well, why is everybody like, this is a dumb example, but I just want to like make it easy. Is like, why is everybody like obsessed with the Tesla truck right now? Like everybody's like buying it, right? And I don't think it's beautiful. And instead of getting myself worked up in my mind of that that's a flaw in me because I'm not doing what everyone else likes or I don't like what everyone else does, take a pause and accept that. Like, I'm allowed to like not like that thing. Like, I'm
I don't
allowed
like it either.
to not want. Yeah, thank you.
I
I
think
like
it's hideous.
yesterday, and I was like, ew, like, why are 5 people in this town driving this? Um, but yeah, I mean, literally, like, it's okay. It is
Mm-hmm.
okay, and just accepting that
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah, and I would almost even invite like the next step of that to be celebrate that. Like be the one that stands out,
Yes.
stands up, is different,
Mhm.
is brave, because that's ultimately what that is to go, it's bravery when everyone else is saying this or doing this or wearing that or looking that way and you're choosing to
Yeah.
do it differently. That is deep radical self-ownership and honoring and self-love, and it's brave.
It's so brave.
Which is bogus that it is brave. Like, I just wish that it was just, oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's just cool, normal, but it's
Yes.
not. So,
Yes. It should.
big claps.
Yes. And it's also like so attractive. Like, I find it
Yeah.
just so, it's like, just be yourself. Like, own who you are. It's the confidence that comes through when you're able to just be like, no, like that's me. Like I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
other people think. And you
Mm-hmm.
start to, at first it might feel scary because we're just not used to that, but over time, that confidence that builds, you just can wake up and you can, like that higher self energy comes through and you're just like, damn, like I am that woman, like that, like I'm her. And like I'm
Mhm.
showing up. And it's just such a good feeling. And of course there's days when, it's not going to feel like that because we've just had these patterns for so long.
Yeah.
But when you can start getting to a place where like most of your days feel that freaking good, it's
Mm.
just this energy. I mean, you are going to be so like, you're going to be so like attracted to that feeling.
Yes. Okay, I have two questions.
Oh, yes.
First question is I want to know what your some of your go-to practices are around this. And then I also want to know who, if anyone, demonstrated this to you growing up. Like
Mhm.
who was your muse for this?
Ooh, these are good. So go-to practices, definitely. I think I'll stick with like the three main. So mirror work is definitely one of them. And like I
Mhm.
said, as somebody who teaches it, there's days I look and I'm just like, I can't do it today, but we try. Just
Mhm.
even just looking at yourself, even if you aren't saying the compliments out loud, but you can get
Mhm.
yourself to a place where you're kind of just have that eye contact in the mirror and just like
Mhm.
share the love, like just let that feeling of love bubble up because that's you. And like you are, it's like over I need to get clear on this quote because I keep forgetting it, but it's like there's a quote about how it's like 4 billion years of evolution to
Mhm.
have you be here at this time in this body.
Yeah.
And the fact is, like, you are so rare that, like, look at yourself in the mirror and just celebrate that. Like, who cares about how wide your hips are? Like, just the fact that it took 4 billion years of evolution, like, it's not a mistake that you're here. So,
Yeah.
that would be like my first. And then the second one is just any work around shedding the limiting beliefs. And so for me, I just try to kind of put them in check. And I know there's kind of a trend on Instagram right now that people are saying that this is like really soft, work or like screw,
Mhm.
the positive self-talk. But I'm a huge believer in this. And I swear,
Mhm.
like, this is so powerful. If you can check that limiting belief, you hear it come
Mhm.
up in your mind. Sometimes for me, I catch them a little late. Like maybe I'm ruminating and down a rabbit hole. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, wait a minute. I just said that one limiting belief to myself, like, you can't do this. And then you put it in check. Remind yourself the truth, like, I can do this. Or,
Mhm.
maybe you stop yourself from something and you hear it in your brain, you hear that thought, I'm not worthy. Put it
Mhm.
in check. Remind yourself, like, I am worthy.
Mhm.
And then the third thing I say is find a community where you
Mhm.
are able to practice these things. um, in person at a retreat or just a community, like with you, I think you have the breathwork community, right? Where you're able
Yeah.
to, come in and you're able to see the women who are
Yeah.
doing this alongside you. Or even
Yeah.
if it's not, I'm very much like women based. The groups are always women, but like whatever works for you, whatever feels good for you, just be
Mhm.
with other humans who are doing the work
Yeah.
because we need to surround ourselves with those kinds of people rather
Mhm.
than, like I said earlier, I'm not going to my grandma's house tomorrow to like get
Mhm.
braided about things. I am investing into these communities
Yeah.
where we're doing this together because that's
Yeah.
where the support's going to be.
Yeah.
And to answer your question about having like a model or like a muse for this, no.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody modeled this for me. And
Mhm.
this is why I get like so passionate about this is because nobody showed me. And when I finally started that journey of, trying to figure this out for myself, I actually had a hard time. I'd be super curious to learn how your journey went as well. And I know
Mhm.
we'll chat on my podcast too. So probably gonna ask
Mhm.
you a lot of questions. Because for me, there wasn't at that time, I couldn't find a lot out there of people who were just a couple steps ahead of me. I
Mhm.
found like Tara Brock, but she was like this, meditation mogul. And there were a couple people, but they were just so far ahead. And I
Mhm.
was like, I just want somebody to lay out my first 3 steps. Like,
Yeah.
what are they? I can't figure it out. And, because yeah, and nobody around me modeled it at all. Um, and I remember it's too long of a story to share here, but how everything changed for me was I think I was like listening to a random Audible book or something, in nursing school, and
Mhm.
there was an ad for a Gabby Bernstein book.
Mhm.
And it was like, you can listen to this for free. And I was like, well, whatever. It was like the 40 days of miracles. And I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have 40 days. I got this. And she was also quite a few steps ahead of me at the time I found her. But the way she simplified everything, I
Mhm.
just felt like I could do this. And
Mhm.
that kickstarted this entire journey
Oh.
of just figuring it all out. And and you know how it goes, like one thing leads to another, leads to another.
Mhm. Mhm.
And thank goodness for that, because I just needed these tangible steps. But that's why now, like, I am so like, I'm just so like this movement that I'm creating, like I'm so freaking obsessed with it. And other, like same with you, like everything that you're doing, like it's so important to like shout this like from the rooftops, like
Mhm.
all these communities, all of these different, healing techniques, like let's freaking go. Like everybody needs to be aware of this stuff,
Mhm.
because it's gonna
Mhm.
the people who the people who don't have role models, like it.
Yeah. Oh, let's freaking go. Thank you for sharing that, all
Yeah.
of that. I want to go back to the piece you spoke about. And I haven't seen this on Instagram, thankfully, because I'd
Okay,
probably
good.
get into an Instagram battle with
Oh,
someone, which I
yeah.
don't do. That's not what this present version of me does. I would want to. The, positive self-talk being
Mm,
soft work.
yeah.
I find that almost a dangerous statement in
Yes.
the sense that like it's not trauma informed whatsoever. It goes against any version of like inner child work or inner child healing because ultimately, and I know that you know this, but I'm just
Yeah.
going to share this with people.
Yeah.
Our current day triggers, the things that are our limiting beliefs, all the stories we tell, everything that is in our beautiful little brains right now comes from likely our childhood, maybe our teen years, some of it maybe early adult. Most of it comes from our childhood, some of it comes from the time that we're in utero. Like this goes deep.
Yes.
And so what we needed, let's pretend we're all 4-year-old little beings and we're cute as a button and we're trying to learn to ride a bicycle. I don't actually know if that's the appropriate time to learn a bicycle, but let's say we're trying to learn to ride a bicycle. We're 4 years old. I have no idea. I
Yeah.
don't have children yet. And we're really struggling. And our parent, whoever's there with us, maybe it's dad, says, you can't do this. We can't do it. Forget it. Get off the bike. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're not ready for this. You can't do it. That's going to stick.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to stick. Now, what we ultimately needed to hear in that moment, because we were probably also like, I can't do this. I can't do this. What we needed in that moment, the experience that we needed that was missing, was for that parent to meet us, probably to kneel down and like meet us with their eyes and their heart and say, you can do this. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in you. Let's try it again. I
Yeah.
got you. You're safe
Yeah.
and you can do this. Now, this is, I trust that in this actual circumstance, most of us probably did get that part, right? Most of us did. So this example is a bit silly, but I think it's clear. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things in life that have happened to us where the story that did come in, whether it was directly to us or we just picked up on it around us, becomes our narrative. And so fast forward, we're grown adults and that story still lives there. I can't do this. I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can catch that and come in with this beautiful positive reframe, you're offering that attunement to that little girl who believes that she couldn't do it or isn't worthy. That's what's happening. And so to say that that's soft, I think is dangerous and misleading and I would unfollow those accounts immediately.
Yeah.
It's important work. It's important work.
I love that you highlighted that, and I'm so glad you did, because I totally agree. And it's like, it's again like when you're doing the work now as an adult, like it's reprogramming that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
reprogramming the way we speak to ourselves. And no, I think it's such important work. So I know
Mm-hmm.
I was so bummed. I've seen it quite a bit lately, so I'm just like, oh, what, I don't know what's going on with that, but
It's just universe is asking you to be louder.
oh, love that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
love.
Louder and sweeter,
Yeah,
kinder.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
It's time to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's such an important tool, and it's been helping me so much every time, I'm catching these thoughts and I'm just like, no, hold on. we're reprogramming this. Like,
Hmm.
this is not what we're doing right now. This is not the way I want to speak to myself.
Hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the Rise retreats. And with that, I'm also curious what Rise means to you. What does it mean to
Oh,
rise?
yes. I love that. So, yeah, that came out. So it all started with my podcast, Ready to Rise podcast. And, I just, I was in this phase where I was really like reclaiming myself. I was
Hmm.
truly like, remembering who I am, and just kind of like getting back into that energy of what lights me up. And I was like, I have to start a podcast about this, right? And so I have to talk about this. And then I couldn't figure out the name. And I was mid workout one day and I was like, Rise. We need to rise. I already knew it was like ready to something. And I was like, no, we are rising. This is what we're doing. And fast forward to now, like the acronym, I always at the end of a retreat, I always make the girls like, repeat after me. And like we are radiant, inspirational, supported, and evolving. And it's just,
Mm.
to me, it's like we're just becoming like this version of ourselves and stepping into that true version. And so it just feels so good to rise into that. And so yeah, I host retreats twice a year, and I, they're just all over, pretty much all over the US currently. We'll be expanding at some point, but they're
Mhm.
in these like high energy centers. So I
Mm.
always make sure that it's just like the places that we can tap into, just the energy of nature and
Mhm.
just what's around us. The next one I'm hosting is in November, and it's in Sonoma County, California, but it's next
Mm.
to this beautiful redwood forest. And I'm
Oh.
sure redwoods just elevate almost like a clear quartz, can just elevate that energy. And so
Mhm.
they're stepping into that version of them. And this energy center, it's just going to like really elevate that. So it's just going to bring that energy like, so much bigger, and just teach these women how to step into that version of themselves and embrace
Mhm.
themselves. And then they get to leave just with that empowered feeling, and
Mhm.
just with those daily tools that they can do at home, and moving
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ah, sounds like a vibe.
I know. I'm obsessed.
Hmm. Do you ever, when you're hosting retreats and events, because I do this, is there ever a part of you that's like, I want to attend this?
I know. Literally. I'm like, okay. I go to one retreat a year currently that she hosted annually as an attendee. And
Hmm.
actually, and then it's so hard to, because when you attend, I'm sure you might do the same thing. When you're an attendee, sometimes I also want to facilitate though. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I also want to host like a sound bath for you and this and that. So it's hard. I have to make sure that I keep myself in that attendee energy, because
Mhm.
I want to be poured into also. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, these are so amazing. Um, yeah, I'm obsessed with my retreats. I'm like, that was something like, that's what pretty much one of the things that just really started, when I started just helping women heal, through sharing the different facilitations and sharing the different tools. I
Hmm.
just kept hearing that word retreat. You have to host.
Hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And I put like my whole entire heart into, I'm sure it's the same for you. It's like you
Hmm.
just think about it for months in advance, and
Hmm.
like, what are we going to do? And what's the song I'm going to play during that journaling exercise? And you just like
Yes.
so into it. Yeah.
I get it. Oh, and that's the energy that you want to have behind your business, you know? And if we don't have that energy behind our business, I'm going to just gently nudge people to look at what they're doing for business.
So good. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do-
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you have a retreat in November.
Yeah.
What else? What else do you have going on? Let's do that piece. Like, where do people find you? What's going on? All the things.
Yeah. So, another thing a lot of women like to plug into, because it's kind of easy to plug into, is the Rise Sisterhood. So I have a sisterhood where we meet virtually once a week. And that's just been huge for me. I just hosted a virtual retreat as well.
Mm-hmm.
This, just yesterday it ended, but is plugging into this virtually, it's just kind of like a nice kickstart to the journey, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to leave the house. And also for me, I remember, when my journey started, it was like, where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
And so virtual, easy.
Yeah.
So we meet once a week and we do just an hour. Every Wednesday, we have an hour call where I lead a facilitation, or maybe we do a mirror work exercise like in person there, or sometimes we have guests facilitators come in and lead us through their expert facilitation. So we just a range of things just to, just
Mm-hmm.
rediscover ourselves and just become that best self energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I also so I have just created this beautiful free program I would love to
Oh,
share.
yes,
Um,
please.
so I have a 6-day self-love challenge,
Okay.
and it actually has like each day has a different facilitation, and a couple of them are some of my signature practices I do at the retreats.
Okay.
So if you guys want to get into that, just text the word challenge to 707-347-0723. And it's just the word challenge, and then you'll be able to get right in and
Hmm.
just get all 6 of them. There's
Yes.
just one for each day, so it's a beautiful way to like kind of kick it off, and then
Mm-hmm.
um, just kind of learn a couple of the practices that will really like kind of help you just dive deeper into that self-love.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I'll put that number, I'll put everything's in the show notes, of course.
You.
That sounds amazing.
Thank you so
I
much.
will obviously be grabbing that.
I love that. Thank you.
Of
Yeah,
course, obviously.
makes sense.
Yeah. Where's the best place to find you? I mean, I found you on Instagram, but I
Yeah,
don't know if that's the best place, is it?
I think Instagram's the only place I respond
Okay.
on everything, but like Instagram's like where I know how to check my messages there.
Uh-huh.
So it's at hello Audrey Rose.
Beautiful. That's so funny that you just said that. I created a link. This is so bad. I created a LinkedIn account. I just got notified in my email today 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I don't have anything on there. I have a very basic bio. And I've recently hired a new VA, and she's like, oh, I can do LinkedIn growth. And I was like, oh, perfect. Take that over. She's like, well, how many followers do you have? And I was like, you have followers on LinkedIn. So then I opened my LinkedIn account. I had an inbox. I had a client request from almost a year ago. I was like, oh no. Okay. Yeah. So also only responding on Instagram.
Yes, I know, I know. And I
Oh,
also don't even like know how to work TikTok. I just
it's because you're over 30.
yeah, exactly. Everyone's like obsessed, and I'm just like I know how to like upload a video and like press like send. That's like it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
just don't talk to me on there.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. I didn't even know that. Yeah. TikTok's a whole other thing. I'm like, how do you share links on TikTok?
Yeah,
Like, how is this supportive of business if you can't share links?
it's so yeah. I
Anyway,
no. So thank you
Instagram it
so
is.
much. This has like been such a beautiful conversation, truly. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to chat with you even more and get
I
into
know.
your journey and like
Yeah.
hear everything. So
Yeah. I feel very, very, very excited about this. This is a sweet coming together. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I'll make sure that everyone knows exactly how to find you. And for those listening, if you have, things you want to chat with either of us about, find us on the Instagram, tell us you listened, ask your questions, share your stories.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, love.
Hi, thank you.